Welcome to The Road Reflected with Nicole Wakeland. Automotive from the lighter side. That means cars, but also cookies, coffee, and pie. Up first, what's Nicole behind the wheel of this week?
Okay, this week I had a really fun car. Like, it was fun. That was unnecessary.
No, it's not.
It was unnecessary. Don't you
No,
dare
it's
do
not.
that again. Some poor person's eardrums just like burst on listening to yee-haw quietly.
Yee-haw.
So I had the 2023 Ford Bronco Sport.
Yeah, you did.
Heritage Edition.
Yeah.
Okay, so first, Bronco and Bronco Sport, because a weirdly huge number of people get confused. The Bronco Sport is like the Bronco Light.
Yes.
It's kind of like it's sort of like a crossover, a little SUV version of it.
And it's not a trim level, it's a different car.
It's a different car. So, which you often get confused about.
I get confused about this. I think the sport level of many vehicles is a trim, but it's not.
It is sometimes. It is not in this case.
But not always.
In this case,
sometimes it's literally a different vehicle.
Yes. Bronco is a vehicle. Bronco Sport is an entirely separate vehicle.
Yes.
They are part of the Bronco family.
Yes.
Okay. So, but the thing is, like, the Bronco is a really heavy-duty off-road, doors come off, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go out there, you'll sleep in the desert and climb over rocks for 3 days.
It's got cool little bling all over it.
Yes, but the Bronco Sport is pretty darn capable in its own right. And I say that from the experience of the year that I ran the Rebelle Rally. Mm-hmm. Ford entered, I think, 3 Bronco Sports in that race.
Oh, sports?
Because there's a 4x4 and there's like a crossover thing. I think they may have been the crossover class. I'm trying to remember. It's been like 3 years now. But they entered them in. They all finished. And I'm pretty sure one of the people either placed or won in her category. So, Bronco Sport, don't knock it. It is actually
the job done.
Right. It's not just one of those like, I want to look like a burly, rugged crossover, but I'm really just a sedan in disguise. No, this can actually do stuff.
Boy, howdy.
So, the Bronco Sport is...
Cowboys, Bronco.
I feel like we can ease up on the cowboy.
Okay, fine.
Just a little bit. Have another sip of your coffee. It's early.
All right.
So the Bronco Sport comes in a variety of trims, but the one I have is the Heritage Edition, which is really not about what's under the hood or what's the capability is. It's about how it looks, and it looks amazing.
It's a really sharp looking vehicle.
Okay, so that's literally what the idea behind the Heritage Edition is. It's sort of like a throwback kind of styling. And for this one, it has this really light blue that they call robin's egg blue. It's beautiful.
It always makes me think of the little Easter Cadbury robin eggs.
Yes.
Those
Robin
are
egg,
tasty.
hence the name Robin's Egg Blue.
Yes,
okay.
but it makes me hungry for chocolate.
So, well, we have chocolate, right? There is actually chocolate
I
sitting
forgot
on this
about
counter.
that.
It's the chocolate Santa right here, but it's also 7:30 a.m.
It is. It's a little early for chocolate.
So, is it ever too early for chocolate?
No.
Okay. So this is the Heritage Edition, which gets its own styling. Part of it's got, like I said, it says Robin's Egg Blue. The roof is white. And it's called Oxford white, is the white that's on the exterior. The roof has that white, and the grille is actually like a slightly modified grille, so the style of the grille is different, but it is also that Oxford white. But it says Bronco on the front in red.
And it's got that retro styling, like that little metallic. It feels like an old Tonka truck front.
Yes,
Tonka truck front.
There you go. Tongue twister. Again, more of the coffee, less of the chocolate.
It is early.
So it looks really good. And it has a little unique badging on it. And inside the seats are this sort of like plaid, but it's not plaid like, don't think like a kilt plaid. It's like sort of the leather, the way the seats are done. It has this plaid styling that again is throwback to like Hello 1970 when things were sort of, everything was plaid and avocado green and like harvest gold. So it's a nice little throwback car and it looks really good. Even the wheels, do you know what steelies are? Do you know what that means? Like when there's just the cheesy looking steel wheels that were on the beater.
It looks like you lost a hubcap.
Right. But these are then.
But you haven't lost a hubcap.
This is how they go.
They're designed to have no cap.
Right. And they're white too, so it's just, it's a fun looking car. So I love the way it looks. And I love that even with all of the fun, cute, like visual appeal that they added to the Heritage Edition, it's still got some capability in there. And it has, I love that Ford did this. So they call it GOAT modes, capital G, capital
Goat
O, capital
modes,
A, capital T.
Like mountain goat.
Goes over all terrain. Oh God, they're going to kill me if I got this wrong. Goes over, or any kind of terrain. Anyway, it goes over a lot of stuff.
Goes over all terrain seems right.
I think any terrain, all terrain. Oh, I forgot
Any
to
terrain,
look it up.
But there's no K, so it's
Goes
GOAT.
over any terrain. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm calling it that. Ford, that's what you're calling it.
Close enough.
But basically, they're GOAT modes, and there are the different drive modes. You can switch a little dial, and depending on whether you're driving on the pavement, just a regular day, or you're driving in sand, or you're driving in mud, or you're driving over some rocks. So, and it has, nice high ground clearance, so you can get over a lot of stuff. So you can still off-road in this. You can still go. Now, is it as Bronco-y as just Bronco? No. But it is still very much a capable SUV. I sort of get aggravated when people are like, oh, it's just a sport. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it seems fun to me.
It really does. So, but with it does better, truly, than the straight-up Bronco is because this is a crossover, because it's designed to straddle the line between off-road and on-road. You can take this on-road and it's quiet. It doesn't, like the Bronco is louder on the road. If you're driving on the highway, you hear that you're driving a Bronco. You got a little wind noise, you got a little, there's noise. In the Bronco Sport, there's not noise. Nice quiet.
Yeah.
Then it's just like I am mild-mannered crossover with my robin's egg blue paint, and you don't notice. And so it's truly, genuinely a comfortable vehicle. So I love cars that manage to do both those things, because so many cars manage to be really good on the highway, but they're not so great off-road, even though they're supposed to be, or vice versa. They're amazing off-road, but you take them on the highway and you're thinking, I can't drive this, right? Yeah. So I really appreciate that they did it, both of these. I think it's nice. And one of the features I like too, did you check out the tailgate? Did you play with the tailgate at all?
Oh, I didn't. Is it a clamshell?
No, it's not really a clamshell, but it does have like a split tailgate in that there is the glass. There's like two little buttons down by the handle. You can pop just the glass if you want just the glass. So you can pop open the glass and put stuff in, which is kind of nice if you don't want to fully open the tailgate, because there's times where, like, especially if you have things that you're putting small things in or something, things tend to roll out. I love just being able to put things in or lift things out without having to open the entire tailgate and worry about, okay, is this other stuff going to come out? Like on a road trip would be amazing, because you could put the stuff that you might need access to towards the top. You could reach and you could grab it. You don't have to open the whole tailgate design. And then have like everything come rolling out in the rest area off of I-95 or whatever. So I really like this. I think the Bronco Sport is a fun vehicle. I liked it when it first came out. I liked the drive that they did where they let us get a little bit of regular drive, a little bit of off-road drive, and I was impressed with it. To have it for a week, especially in this style. And I mean, if you like, the thing is, this isn't like some fancy limited edition $150,000 car.
Right.
This runs $45,000.
It's accessible,
right? So it's accessible, and I know not everyone's going to buy a car that's $45,000. Like that isn't exactly cheap, but still, you can get something that's different. Like it's nice to be able to get a car that looks different, that doesn't look like other cars. Even you look at it like, what is that? Because
and if you've always liked the styling of the Bronco, but you don't need the capability,
right? If you don't want, and it's more expensive,
it's a more affordable, right? Because you're not paying for the capability. So you get the styling you want at a price you can afford. You probably get better mileage because it's not as heavy. It just is a fun way, and it looks cool. It looks fun. If you like that retro look, it's a lot of fun.
And I think it's nice to have cars. I think for me, how a car looks is a large part of its appeal, because you don't want to walk up to something every single morning that you're like, blech. I'm glad that my car gets good fuel economy, but it looks like
people
that.
People will give you compliments on this.
They do. There are people that notice this, and I think things like that are kind of what makes it. Cars are expensive, and you don't have them for 5 minutes and they're gone. They're not like your iPhone, which I feel like has a useful life of 2 years before Apple's like, and then we will start making parts fail. Like cars aren't designed to do that. They go a lot longer. I think we're up to like. It was 11 years at one point. I think it's 12, maybe even 13 years. I was going to say,
what's the average time people...
It was 11, and it's higher now than it was. I want to say it's 12 or 13 now.
That's a long time to have a vehicle. So, you want to like it. You want it to be cool.
So you're going to be looking at that sucker for 12 years.
Right,
You want it to be something you don't mind
seeing. It's a reflection of you. Many Americans feel their cars are a reflection of themselves.
Yes,
so
you buy something that speaks to your soul. A lot of buying a car is, it does what I need it to do. It can seat 5 people, or if it can go off-road, or it gets amazing fuel economy. It has to do, or you can tow. It has to do the things you need your vehicle to do. But there's a lot of choices with any of those kind of characteristics. What it comes down to is, do you like how it feels for you? Do you enjoy driving it?
Right.
Do you enjoy sitting behind the wheel? Do you feel good about being it? You want to feel good in your, tens of thousands of dollars purchase that you're going to have for the next 12 years. This one, you feel good. And I feel like it's a little bit like the Volkswagen Beetle used to be when it first came back.
It's got that look.
It makes people smile. People look at it and wonder, like, what's that?
Exactly.
So I had a heck of a lot of fun driving the Ford Bronco Sport, and I love the Heritage Edition. Hey everyone, if you like what you're hearing, then go ahead and hit that like button,
Ding.
like, and subscribe either on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher.
Yeah.
You didn't do it.
Yeah.
No, you normally say Emily because your reviews would normally.
Yeah, been positive reviews on iTunes.
You normally just add that in.
No negative reviews, just positive reviews.
I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
I was ready. There we go. Now we're good. So the other thing I want to talk about today is not actually a car, but many cars.
Oh.
Okay, so I am a juror for the North American Car, Truck, and Utility Vehicle of the Year.
They have a cool acronym.
It's called NACTOY.
Which basically means you're a toy judge.
I know it does kind of sound that way. Depending on your point of view, cars are people's toys.
Very expensive toys.
Very expensive
Yes.
toys, right? So the NACTOY has a process by which we look at the vehicles every year that are either new or substantially changed. So all new is easy. All new, whatever. The automakers know when they're all new. They call them all new. We do the whole all new thing. But they also have, sometimes things aren't quite all new, like it's a major refresh or there's been substantial changes to it. We also include those. There's a lot of behind the scenes to make sure that we get vehicles that sort of qualify in there, and we talk to them and they enter all their vehicles. And we start off with a huge list. I think it was there's 50, 60 cars on this list generally each year. Then we whittle it down to the semifinalists, which we test drive out in Michigan in early October. We have a drive, and we drive all these vehicles, and we get a chance to get behind the wheels. Some of the automakers have representatives there so that they can talk to us about them, but it gives us extra time to evaluate. Although a lot of these we've generally been in already during the course of the year, either as loaners that we get, like the weekly cars to talk about, or we go to drive programs.
But it's really important that all the judges get a chance to be behind the wheel of all the nominees.
Right, because in the end, you can't vote for a car you've never driven. It might be the coolest car on the planet, but if we never get a chance to drive it, then we can't vote on it. So having the semifinalists all there to drive, and then, we're just taking laps for 3 days. We take laps around Ann Arbor, I think is where we are in Michigan. Yeah. So you can, and we just take turns. Like you drive on the highway, you drive wherever you want to drive, you can drive it. So it's a great chance to really get some time behind the wheel of a car. Then we narrow it down to the finalists, which we announced at the LA Auto Show in November.
Okay.
So, and the finalists, that gives you 3 cars, 3 trucks, and 3 utility vehicles.
Yep.
The winners are coming on January 4th. Ooh. So January 4th, we announce the winners. We'll announce them in Detroit. There's the big shindig. So we'll announce the winners, and it's a big deal every year. And it's as a juror, and I think this is my 3rd year on the jury.
Yeah.
It's a process to go through and figure it all out and determine which ones you like. And qualifications for what you might think is the best, say you were a juror, what you might think is the best and what I might think of the best are different, but that's part of the beauty of this organization. There's no it must check these boxes. We're each evaluating these cars based on our own opinion of what's best. If your priority was performance, you're probably going to put a higher focus on performance. If someone else's priority is affordability, you might put a higher priority on affordability. So there's 50 jurors, but to have all those jurors with sort of differing perspectives, you get a pretty good feel. If we can all come down to one and vote, you probably got a car that's pretty darn good.
Right. Really all well-rounded, does all the things.
Right. Yeah. It's not just going to be a performance car, just an efficient car. It's it's probably an every man's car that's going to work for a lot of people. Okay. And we don't generally have cars that are outrageous. We have some pricey cars that are on this list, but it's generally cars that, once the affordability factor comes in, whittles down a little. So you're probably not going to find a $250,000 vehicle on this list.
Has there been a crazy winner?
I don't think there's ever been one that's been insane.
So the winners are kind of
they're good. They're decent cars. There's luxury cars on there. There's really nice cars, but they're not unobtainium cars.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
So this year we've narrowed it down sort of 3 categories. For the car, we've got the Honda Accord, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and the Toyota Prius Prime.
Wait, is that one car or 2?
It's one. The Prius is one category, but there's the Prius and the Prius Prime, so they've got them all in there. So we've got a vehicle that is an EV. The Hyundai Ioniq 6 is an EV.
Yes.
So the EV thing is new. Then you have hybrids in the Accord and the Prius.
Right.
So you've got a nice little mix. But it's interesting. You've got
But there's not an EV category.
No, because here's the thing. And we've actually had conversations about that.
Yeah.
So if you just make, we have car, truck, utility. Even doing truck and utility was a conversation that happened before I was a juror. But it's interesting because, at what point would you just have a car that said gas engine versus diesel? you probably wouldn't, right?
No one really, I mean, back when diesel was all the rage, it might have been fun to have the best diesel, but at the end of the day, it's best car regardless of energy type.
Right. So that's, there was a talk, like, should we have a best
So
EV?
when EVs get stronger, eventually an EV will win. Right?
Well, and the idea with the EV thing is it's not that you want to take EV and just say, the EV category, when do you get rid of that? When EV is no longer a differentiator. So Honda Accord, Hyundai Ioniq 6, Toyota Prius / Prius Prime. For trucks, we have the Chevy Colorado. We have the Chevy Silverado EV and the Ford Super Duty, which is neat because we got a Super Duty on there. So again, Chevy Silverado EV. So we also have an EV in the truck category, which once upon a time was sort of like, you can never have that. Truck people aren't going to like EVs.
Right.
There's some good EVs out there.
Yeah,
like the Ford F-150 Lightning.
Did the Lightning make the?
Last year that was our car. Our truck was the F-150 Lightning. So we could potentially have 2 years in a row where an EV is the truck winner.
And ironically, it could be the trucks.
It could be the trucks, which is kind of funny.
That'd be funny if the trucks beat it first.
The category that everyone's like, no one is ever going to want an electric truck.
Well, that starts to make the Cybertruck look less crazy.
I don't know if anything can make it look less crazy, and you know how I feel about that truck. But so those are our vehicles for truck, and then we have utility, which is like crossover / SUV, more SUV. So the Genesis electrified GV70, there's your EV. Kia EV9. That's an EV. The Volvo EX30, that's an EV.
Oh, you got a lot of EVs.
So for the utility category, it will be an EV.
Oh yeah, cool.
So there's
a lot of even there's EVs.
Depending on how this susses out, we could have an electric vehicle in all three categories.
Interesting. Is that would be the first time ever?
I don't think all three. We've had EVs, obviously, like last year or the before, but I don't think we've ever had all three win. Because the F-150 Lightning was the first really strong truck EV. Like, you know what I mean? There wasn't so it could be an interesting year, but it's fun to see the change, or just sort of fascinating to see how quickly it went. And people go back and forth on electrics, whether they're ready, whether EVs are ready. But even if you don't think they're ready, and if you don't think the network can support it, and I don't necessarily think the network could support all of us flipping a switch and driving EVs tomorrow, but the automakers are pushing in that direction. There was a lot of like mandated government reasons for why they were pushing toward EV. Consumers were asking to a degree for electrified vehicles. Adoption is going up, but there's still that sort of controversy of like, when am I going to be able to get into my EV, drive it, and not be thinking, oh dear God, where is the next charger? Oh crud, it isn't working. And you just see legions of my colleagues putting stories out, and they're not knocking the EVs. The cars are great. The
network's the problem.
The network is the problem, and the network that's expensive as sin to try to get that network done to keep things to keep things robust and always working. It's still new technology, like electricity, not new. Having electric cars and having a network to support them new. And we even have heard that in Europe from people who are in Europe. As an American, I have this sense of like, oh, Europe's got it down, man.
Right.
But they also complain about, well, yeah, we might have more, but it depends where you are, just like in the United States.
You do see more chargers in Europe, but it's still not ubiquitous.
Yeah, so it's still a concern. But so on January 4th, we will be announcing the winner for the North American Car, Truck, and Utility Vehicle of the Year. There's a potential to have an EV, like, what is that called? When they take all the categories.
Sweep.
Thank you. That's the word. If you could see me sweeping with my
sweep.
hands. The electro sweep. Oh, God. Now I'm hoping it doesn't happen. Oh, because you're going to be calling it the electro sweep. But so we'll have to see what happens. So this is a big thing. So January 4th, we'll get to see who won for these three really important categories for NACTOY. Hey, wait, did we just drive by a bakery? No, we did not. Well, we didn't drive by anything. We're roaming through Europe as we record this. We did some driving, which I'll talk about next week. But what now we're doing is floating on a boat.
Yes,
on a river.
Floating on a boat.
And on that floating on the boat in the river, we get to stop at a bunch of different cities, which is beautiful. It's such a fun thing to do. And they have all these Christmas markets.
Yes.
This time of year, which is why we're here, because I know they're kind of like I don't know, stereotypical, but they're super fun.
They are super fun. And here's the thing. They're beautiful.
Yes.
And there's a certain ambiance to them all.
Yes.
But what's interesting is, while many of them can feel the same, it's the unique booths you find in each one.
Yes.
That is the magic. And then every once in a while, you'll find a market that is just so unique to its own little town.
Right.
That it's really special. I actually like the smaller town ones. I think more.
So like we went to some huge ones. And the thing is, it's a
Like
combination
was huge.
of food, drink, and stuff to buy.
Yes.
Little booths.
Mostly food and drink.
So think of it like an American Christmas market on steroids.
Yes.
And they're outside, unlike ours, which tend to be like in
They're always outside.
church halls or, gymnasiums and schools. These are outside. So you will bundle yourself up nice and warm and get yourself ready to go.
And usually at the foot of a huge European cathedral, right? Like a beautiful cathedral.
They're on these
or
squares.
in the case of Heidelberg, under a castle.
Right, you're looking up in the ruins of the castle.
So it's just, or in a little beautiful town in the Black Forest. Like, it's just like a wonderful experience, but it's also a really unique sort of thing. And these things have been going on for like hundreds of years.
Yeah, they've been a long time. They've been doing. There have been times when they didn't do the markets and they brought them back again. So it's a really fun thing. And there are certain foods that we get here every time. Some of them are like savory foods that actually could be your lunch. Or your 18th snack of the day. And
yes.
Some of them are sweet. So one of our favorite things, this is very much the German
Today's
end
savory
of things.
day.
Today is savory day.
I think we're going to cover sweet maybe a future.
Yeah, today is savory day. So the number one thing that you have to get, and that is amazing, is am I saying Glühwein?
Glühwein.
Which is like warm spiced wine.
It's basically mulled wine.
It's like a mulled wine. It's
like mulled cider, but with red wine typically.
Right, and it's really, really good stuff. If you like wine, if you like wine at all, and also it warms you up because it's wine, and it warms you up because it's warm.
Yes,
and they have all these different. The fun thing about it is every market, and this thing I don't know if they do it everywhere, like in general in Europe. I've only ever really seen this at the Christmas markets, but they have mugs that you buy your wine in, and when you get, and it's like honest to God,
a nice ceramic mug,
and they have different pictures on it, and from one market in one city to one market in the next, every city has its own little mug.
Sometimes there'll even be multiple mugs in the same market.
Yes,
like 2 different styles you can try to find.
So when you buy your drink, say you paid €8 for your mug of mulled wine. If you bring your mug back, if you don't want to keep the nice glass mug, they'll give you back like €2 or €3 depending on the market. Right.
So there's like a little deposit including in your purchase price.
So you bring it back if you don't want it, but if you want to keep it, you just keep it. And now you've got a little mug.
Pro tip: if you want to keep your mug, but you're like traveling and you want a clean one,
so you
can go back to any of the booths. And by the way, any of the booths will give you the deposit back on your mug. So you can buy it from one booth, and then the booth near the exit, you can turn it back in.
You can wander about and return it in with the next any of the booths that sell wine all use the same mug.
Or if you want to keep it, just say, "Can I have a clean one?" And they'll give you the clean mug. And
you don't have to wander around the market with a mug with sticky red wine residue on it. So the Glühwein is super fun, and sometimes it's white. Normally it's red, but there were a couple places where it was a white wine. The one city that we went to, that was sort of their thing. Rickvier.
That was the city that had was famous for its wine in the French region there of the Rhine River.
The Alsace-Lorraine.
Yes, Alsace-Lorraine. I think that was the village that Disney based Belle's provincial town on.
And seriously, you guys, it so looked like it.
It looked like the
There's
movie.
a moment I wanted to be like spinning around with a book in my hand.
Oh, yeah. Especially the well, and then the little well in the middle.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
It really looked like it.
But because they are famous for some of their whites, they had many of them sold white Glühwein.
Which was
really
and it does taste different. It's fun, and because every city makes their own, they use different wines, even different vendors.
Yeah, it's usually their local
use different wines. Yeah. So you can get some you might find you like a lot, some you might find like not so much. But they're all. I mean, I've never had one that I'm like, ooh, I'm dumping this out.
And Glühwein is like the essential smell of the Christmas market.
You smell it everywhere.
You just smell it because it's usually in big kettles being mulled.
Right.
And it's just all the spices of Christmas.
It's kind of like you walk into Carnival and you smell popcorn. You walk into these markets, you smell the Glühwein, and you also smell a variety, especially in Germany, the Wurst.
And everything's so decorated.
Yes.
But then you smell the Wurst.
The Wurst.
And then you get hungry for actual food.
And this is so the actual food, and I have always loved this, and it's not an only Christmas market thing. You can get it all the time in Germany. Currywurst or Currywurst.
Currywurst is fantastic.
Which we introduced to some friends that were on this trip with, and they looked at us like, "What?
What are you eating? It looks like soup with a sausage cut up in it."
And they've got it's so good, you guys.
Yeah, it's basically so. And the trick is, depending on where you get it, the kind of sausage used,
because there's different ones,
right? It depends, right? So but where we got it this trip at the first time, I was in this beautiful little town of the Black Forest, and they have apparently the world's largest Advent calendar.
Yeah, it's like their city hall or something the size of a city hall.
Yes.
It has the windows turn into Advent calendar windows.
Yes, and it was cute.
And they reveal one.
And little children from the local school were acting out some kind of
little play we didn't understand about
really
Paradise.
Funny.
it was in German,
we
but it
didn't
looked
understand
really
it.
cute.
And then they sang Feliz Navidad in the middle, which was a little surreal.
Which was super confusing.
But
Where
anyway,
am I?
But we got currywurst there, and we introduced our friends to it, and it was a really good one because they used a smaller sausage.
Yes.
But basically with currywurst, you get some kind of sausage, often bratwurst, but not always. And then they put basically a heavy ketchup sauce on there.
It's like a ketchup-y spice, but it's not like straight up ketchup. It's like a ketchup
sometimes there's nuances to it, but that's basically
it.
And then they shake and cover it with literally curry.
Like just you would shake, like you'd shake powdered sugar on a donut. Yeah.
So good.
It's really good. So we got some of that. We've had currywurst because it's amazing.
And that was some of the best I ever had in that town.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Really good currywurst. And the other thing that we've been doing, because I've always loved this. Okay, I thought it was a type of thing. Like fondue could be very many kinds of cheeses. It's melty cheese in a pot.
Yeah.
This is called raclette. I thought it was, again, how it was being served, but apparently it's the actual cheese.
Oh, it was raclette, the actual cheese.
The actual cheese. And how they serve it is like you think you take your big wheel of cheese and you lop it in half so you have like a soft edge to it, like a raw edge. And they put it under this little burner and make it melty, bubbly, gooey.
Yeah, like there's an actual, they raise the cheese up under the burner. Like the cheese is like locked in this like holder.
Yes.
And it's a big long, like half a wheel of cheese.
Basically. Yeah, like a half a wheel of giant cheese.
Yeah, so think of a giant wheel of cheese, maybe like a foot long.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then they raise it up under this really powerful heater. And so the half of the cheese wheel starts to bubble. Like bubble, 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 bubble. That's my bubbling sound.
Okay.
And then they pull it down and they take a wire, just cut off that hot top.
Or depending on it.
scraper.
Sometimes it's a knife, they scrape it. Sometimes it's a
and
wire.
They just scrape it right into a plate.
They put it into a plate and then you get like a hunk of bread.
Yeah.
And there's normally a little, like they're pearl onions and a pickle and cheese.
Yes.
And it's 9 million degrees. It'll burn your mouth. It's totally worth it. But it is so, and again, it's just this really good, and think of it, you're outside, you're wandering around in a freezing cold Christmas market. It might be snowy, it might be rainy. To have like a warm mug of wine, a giant thing of melty cheese, how can you go wrong with that?
But this is what makes going to the different Christmas markets in different countries fun.
Yeah.
Because you will not often find raclette in a German Christmas market.
Right.
But we were in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And the Christmas markets look very similar. They're all decorated with the boughs of, pines and all the wonderful things. And they all have the Glühwein. However, the name changes as you go from country to country. But a lot of raclette and cheese dishes, the fondue dog.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we got this thing called a fondue dog. It is the kind of thing that you're going to get and you're like, oh, that's bad for me. I will take two. So imagine you get this really nice loaf of bread and just kind of cut like
half a baguette.
Kind of like a baguette, more like Italian bread, a little wider.
Oh, yes,
bigger
like an
than
Italian loaf sandwich.
Like lop that puppy in half.
Right.
Right. And then hollow out the middle just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Then scoop the fondue.
And pour fondue cheese in there.
And then wrap it in a piece of paper like you're eating like a hot dog or something.
But it's just a piece of bread filled with fondue.
And it gets everywhere. Like we're all eating this
but
and we look like
street
toddlers.
Fondue. You can walk around.
Yeah. There's cheese dripping down our fingers.
There's a version where they stick a sausage in there too, because why not?
We were laughing so hard. And we as we walk by, there's a bunch of people eating and I thought, what on God's name is that?
Right.
And they're like a mess. Like there's grown adults with the cheese dripping on their face, like, it's so good. We got it. We're all laughing. It was so good. It was so hearty. We shared it because it's one of those things you really need to, you can eat one, go for it, but it's the kind of thing you want to share. It was so yummy.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really amazing about having the opportunity to go to so many of these different Christmas markets in different countries in quick succession, which is what this is letting us do, because we see what the kind of things are they would do in Switzerland.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're in Alsace-Lorraine and you see the white Glühwein and the different kinds of things they do in France. And now we're back to the Wurst in Germany.
And there's little differences between them. Like you're going to find the more mulled wine every place, but slightly different.
Right.
You'll find raclette in one place. In another place, you'll find these, what do they call, Flammkuchen, which don't call it a pizza.
That's the funny part.
Guys, it's
don't
a
call
pizza.
It's pretty much a pizza.
It's like a pizza without sauce, but don't tell them that. It's like, right. So you find these different things. So like a lot of it the same. So a lot of it you're like, I've seen this at all the
markets.
Here's
a pro tip.
But then you see different things.
But pro tip, if you're telling everybody don't say it's a pizza,
it's a pizza.
It's because it looks just like a pizza.
It's because the entire universe
looks like
thinks
a pizza Bianco.
Right.
It's a white pizza.
You can say what you want. It's a pizza.
It's a pizza. But then the cool part, what I like the most, is when the cultures merge.
Yeah.
Right? So then you're eating the amazing cheese, but on a German pretzel. Or one of the places took the raclette and put it on a plate of spätzle,
Yes.
Which is a German, like a gnocchi, like
kind
a
of
German
like a little,
potato
kind of
noodle.
like it's like a little thick,
which is
yummy
delicious.
noodle.
I love these things. I've eaten this since I was a kid.
Yeah, it was Rick Platt with Spätzle. Like, what kind of what cultural
brilliance
mash?
is this? So,
yeah.
So the fusion of the different cultures, and then we had those mushrooms, the champagne.
Yeah, there was one that was champignon. Am I saying it right? So they had like mushrooms, think like whole little mushrooms, and they had it in this giant skillet. Like you couldn't put your arms around the skillet. It was so big that had like sort of this brown broth in it. And they've been simmering in this with saffron on top of it, and they put it in a bowl and dumped this like garlic sauce on it.
Yeah,
it's just good.
And it's a fusion, and that's what's neat about the Rhine Valley area because it's switched hands between Germany and France for over the centuries so often that there's this fusion of German culture and French culture here.
Yes,
which is a really interesting way.
So the food fusion is great, but the tour guides are even greater because all the German tour guides are like, the French.
There's still some bitterness.
And all the French tour guides are like, the Germans in a very good nature way, but they blended their food absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, the food blending is really cool. Really cool.
Thanks for listening to The Road Reflected. To follow more of Nicole Wakeland's adventures, head on over to NicoleWakeland.com. There you'll find links to her social media from TikTok to Twitter, as well as her work across a wide range of media outlets. Until next time, keep it shiny side up.